Video games and hoaxes go together like this statement in a really good analogy. From the playground rumors of old to the creepypastas of the 2000s to modern 4chan and Twitter leaks, being a part of the video game community has always required a certain level of sifting through information to discern what was accurate. Always taking things with a grain of salt. So since today is April Fool's Day, I picked out 5 of my favorite hoaxes from the history of gaming for us to explore. Number 5. Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat is easily one of the most recognizable and influential fighting game series ever made, wowing arcade goers with its excellent gameplay and digitized actors as sprites, giving the game a very realistic look for the time. And as with a lot of arcade games at the time, it was no stranger to hoaxes and rumors. One in particular was that of the fatality. When you beat an opponent in Mortal Kombat, sometimes a message will appear that says "finish him," allowing you to get off one final blow on your opponent. However, for a while, there was a rumor going around that if you input certain button combinations on this screen, you would be able to accomplish what was known as a fatality, allowing you to finish off your opponent in a particularly violent manner. Of course, none of these fatalities were real. You also have to keep in mind the time period. Video games were under a lot of scrutiny at this time, and if a game like Mortal Kombat had really had that much violence, it would have caused an uproar. So this, like the Ermac rumor, also turned out to be false. Number 4. Super Mario 64. Super Mario 64 is one of my favorite games ever. It's also a game with some of the most well-known rumors and hoaxes associated with it. From the all-time classics like L is Real to the more modern, every copy of Super Mario 64 is personalized. Mario 64 almost seems to invite mystery and rumor. One such rumor stated that upon collecting all 120 stars in the game, Yoshi would appear on top of the castle and give Mario 99 lives. This was a somewhat believable hoax for the time, with some pretty impressive footage to accompany it. Unfortunately, no such completion bonus can be found in the actual game. While there is a way to access the top of the castle upon getting 120 stars, there's nothing really up there, and it's more just a platform to be able to fly around the overworld. So I guess Yoshi will have to stay in the same status as Luigi, unless the players who reported it really did have personalized copies. Number 3. The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is probably the most recent entry on our list. Releasing in 2017 alongside the Nintendo Switch, Breath of the Wild simultaneously marked a major departure from past Zelda games, as well as a return to roots not seen in 30 years. Moving to an open world game allowed a certain level of freedom not seen since the original Zelda on the NES. The game also removed several staples of the series in favor of some new ideas, replacing Link's horse Epona with the horse taming system, removing the Triforce from the spotlight, and removing the Master Sword in favor of the new weapon system. It was this last change, however, that started to spark some rumors. Shortly after the game's release, people started to claim that the Master Sword could in fact be found. The most common telling of the rumor goes that the Master Sword could be found by going to the Lost Woods with a certain amount of hearts. They also claimed that the sword dealt double damage to certain enemies, including the final boss. Of course, no such sword can be found in the Lost Woods. While there are multiple chests to be found here, ultimately the woods inevitably send you back to the entrance. However, the Master Sword does make an appearance in trailers for the upcoming Tears of the Kingdom, so maybe these people really were onto something after all. Number 2. Minecraft. Minecraft is the best-selling single video game of all time. And of course, like any popular game, it has a lot of hoaxes. Minecraft's hoaxes mostly come in the form of creepypastas like Entity 303 and the ubiquitous Herobrine. However, in early 2010, a particularly odd rumor began to spread. On February 27, 2010, Minecraft InfDev was released. This update made Minecraft worlds go from a relatively small size to being functionally infinite. This marked a massive change to the game. No longer were players limited in how far they could build or explore. It was around this time, however, that word began to spread about something strange generating at the ends of a Minecraft world. Now, before we go on any further, it's worth noting that a Minecraft world is not truly infinite, but it is large enough that pretty much no one would ever be able to make it to the end. There have actually been multiple different things at the end of a Minecraft world, from empty voids to what appears to be more terrain that you would simply fall through, to what we have today, which is a barrier surrounding the world. But back then, a rumor started to spread that something else was at the end. Something bizarre. People claimed that very strange terrain generated at the end of the world, dubbed the Farlands by the community. This hoax spread like water in Minecraft Classic. Unlike other hoaxes on this list, I think this one actually kind of did happen. Hear me out. Getting to the end of a Minecraft world in a reasonable amount of time was impossible by normal means. Minecraft worlds are millions of blocks long. Getting that far would take years of constant walking. There was also a bug caused by a floating point precision error, where once you were far enough away from spawn, movement would start to get laggy, making this feat even harder. The only way to get yourself to the end of the world back then was to manually edit your save file. This, I believe, is where the rumor got started. I think someone edited their world to see how far out they could go, and in doing so somehow corrupted their world. After word of this spread, it, like Herobrine, became the subject of countless hoaxes. Number 1. Pokemon. Often, the amount of hoaxes associated with a franchise is proportional to its popularity. And while Minecraft may be the best-selling video game of all time, Pokemon is the largest media franchise in history. And to say that Pokemon has had its share of hoaxes would be like calling Pokemon Red slightly buggy. From the Mew under the truck and the Pokegods to Skyform Regigigas, Pokemon has had more hoaxes than I could even begin to count. However, in the late 1990s and early 2000s, a hoax occurred that had an impact on the Pokemon community that's still felt to this day. On November 11th, 1999, Pokemon Gold and Silver were released in Japan. Pokemon's second generation was designed from the ground up for the Game Boy Color. And in order to take full advantage of the color scheme of Nintendo's new handheld, Game Freak made a rather unique encounter. Upon traveling to the Lake of Rage, the player would be met by a unique red Gyarados. This red Gyarados could even be caught and used like any other Pokemon. The idea of a Pokemon that was a different color than normal really caught the imaginations of players at the time. And as with anything that piques the curiosity of the internet, speculation was rampant. If there was one Pokemon that was differently colored, could others have alternate colors as well? This is where the rumor of shiny Pokemon began. The name shiny Pokemon likely comes from a combination of the sparkling effect that the red Gyarados had, and the shining Pokemon mechanic introduced in the Pokemon TCG around this time. The rumor went that any Pokemon could have one of these alternate colored shiny variants. How did you encounter them? Well, you had to get lucky. Because of course you did. A few different numbers floated around at the time, but the most popular odds seemed to be about a 1 in 8,000 chance to find one of these shiny Pokemon. Countless pictures and videos of people claiming to find these alternate colored Pokemon flooded blogs and forums across the internet, adding a certain level of credence to the legend. The myth of the shiny Pokemon exploded, going beyond the Pokegods and even the Mew under the truck. It, unlike other hoaxes, lasted far beyond its generation. When Ruby and Sapphire released in late 2002, this had almost become a sort of primitive meme, with people posting pictures of shiny Pokemon in those games as well. I myself spent a good amount of time looking for a shiny Pokemon before. Of course, they aren't actually real. I would have found one by now if they were. So that was 5 of my favorite video game hoaxes for April Fool's Day. I hope you guys liked it, and I'm curious to hear from you guys. Did you believe any of the hoaxes listed in this video? Do you know of any other interesting hoaxes or rumors in video games? Let me know in the comments. And as always, if you liked the video, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.